All right, Ottawa, here we are back again for our monthly market update. This time we're looking at November 2025. So, taking a look at how the numbers came out for the auto real estate market in November 2025, first we're going to see the average sale price was sitting about 680,000. That's up 2% compared to the same time last year. The sold to list price ratio is 97%. It's about the same as it was last year, down half a percent. Units sold, we saw 880 homes sell in November of 2025. That's actually down almost 17% from November last year. And then the days on market, we saw it came up almost 4% to be about 27 days on market. So this is actually taking a look at just the freehold properties. The condo market is a little bit different. And so we're going to see here, the numbers that we have here are reported from the Ottawa Real Estate Board. But we have another program too that puts both the freehold and the condo properties together. So the numbers are going to come out a little bit different. But first thing we always want to do is we take a look at what the board is submitting for the numbers. And that shows us year over year, right? But as we know, there's a much bigger story to be told, as year over year often are very similar, but you can see the markets change quite a bit throughout the year. So the next thing that we want to look at, though, is going to be the total inventory. So this is where you're going to see a big difference between this year and last year. It's pretty consistent with what we've seen in the last couple of months, but we saw total inventory. So there was 3,721 homes for sale at the end of November, and that's up 31% compared to the same time last year. Months of inventory is at 4.5 months, and that's up 13.5% from the same time last year. Now, months of inventory, if you don't know, it means basically if we had no more homes come to the market, how long would it be before we sold out at the current rate that homes are selling at? So 4.2 months is up 13.5% from the same time last year, but it is still in more of a balanced market range. And new listings. So we saw 1,458 new listings hit the market in November, and that's up 10% over the same time last year. Now, like I said, these are the numbers that are reported from the Ottawa Real Estate Board on the residential freehold properties. And here, we're going to take a look at the reality platform that we have. It's IMS Incorporated. They are a statistics company that take a look at all the data for homes sold in Ottawa. And so here they're going to be mixing the numbers of both the residential and the condominium properties. And that's why you're going to see the average price being at 609 compared to the 680 that we saw in the first slide. But like I said, you can see here that they're showing the average price changed up 3% from the same time last year. But you can see here that doesn't tell the whole story, right? We saw the average price being 592, today it's 609, but we saw it up as high as 668. And this is a pretty typical trend that we see year over year. I mean, we definitely saw numbers jump up, the average price higher in October compared to September, which is a bit of an outlier. But if we were to pull back, the last 5 years, so everything since COVID, essentially, you can see it's a pretty typical trends, right? Where you see the prices rise and fall. And that has a lot to do with supply and demand, obviously, and inventory, because what happens here is we start off the year with low inventory, right? Like right now, there are not that many homes hitting the market. And a lot of homes that have not sold, they start to expire and not renew, or they just cancel the listing and say that they're going to try it again next year. So we start off the year with very few homes hitting the market and less inventory, and we have less sales going on. But as the spring gets closer, we see buyer activity increase. And when buyer activity increases before homes have actually hit the market, then you see the buyer demand is outweighing the supply, and you see prices come up. And that's when you see prices go up, and then all the homes will start to hit the market because they now see, okay, it is the ideal time to list. And by the time June comes around, you have a lot more inventory on the market, but the most sales have already happened as well, because the majority of sales happen in the spring for summer closing. And so you see that while inventory keeps on rising for the rest of the year, the sales go down, and then you will see the average price decrease accordingly. And you can pretty much see that happens every year. It's pretty typical that we see the summer being quite slow and then having an uptick in the fall before bottoming out in the winter. So this is to take a look at the average price. We can also look at the units sold, which, like I said, is going to have that similar trend, right? So typically, the most units are going to sell in May, and then you see less sales happen. So that's why you see when the most sales happen in May, but a lot of homes are still hitting May, June, July. That's when you see sales less happening. You see ultimately the prices decrease. Now, this is going to show for average days on market. You're going to see it's a much higher number than we saw in the first graph. But again, because we are combining the condos with the freeholds. So right now, we are looking at 44 days on market when you combine the condos and the freeholds. And that's obviously going to tell us a little bit more about what's going on in the condo market, right? If we have the average freeholds being 27 days and the average combined number being 44 days, we know that the condo number is actually much higher. And that is the reality of what we're seeing. The condo market, while some are still selling great, there are tons that are sitting on the market, and the ones that are selling are often selling for less than what their neighborhood sold for. So that's kind of where we're sitting on days of market. Right here, if you look at this graph the last 5 years, it's going to look like, okay, wow, we are up significantly. But if we were to go back 20 years and take a look at overall, you can see that we're actually kind of in the middle, right? Homes are selling a lot faster just post-pandemic or during pandemic. But in the prior years, 2017, 2016, we saw in December of 2016, the average days on market was high as 81 days. So almost double what they are currently. So that's the thing is a lot of people right now, they look at the market, or we hear a lot of pessimistic comments of the market about the market being slower or whatnot, right? But we can still hear it's definitely slower than what it was post pandemic. But overall, it is a lot more of a balanced market, right? That was an outlier market, and this is more of a balanced market. Where again, if we were to take a look at the units sold, you'll see that in fact we did sell more homes this year than the last couple of years. It's just that a lot more homes are on the market right now. The inventory has increased significantly, so fewer homes are selling proportionally to the inventory. Or I should explain it better. More homes are sitting on the market not selling. So that's the truth. There's a lot more homes, condos sitting on the market not selling, but the actual amount of homes selling is gradually going up. So that has to do with interest rates for sure, right? We now have seen interest rates hit the lowest that we've seen since they started to increase them in 2022. So right now, technically, if we look at the average price and the average and currently the interest rate, we're seeing, lower price than we've seen the majority of the last couple of years, and a lower interest rate. And so home affordability is actually the best we've seen since 2021, essentially. All right, so what does this mean for you? Depends. Are you a buyer or a seller, or what type of property you are interested in or that you own? But there is a couple things going on here, right? Where we do see sales decrease currently in December and January. Those are typically, we're going to see the lowest for average sale price in these months, right? We're also going to see the lowest in the amount of homes sold in these months, right? You can see January, December, December, January, December, January, December, January, December, January. But that is the opportunity, obviously, for buyers right now, because if a seller needs to sell, and they don't have other buyers knocking on the door, that is where you get buyers with some great deals right now. And we're seeing it every day. Homes selling significantly less than anything has sold for in the last couple of years, and significantly less than what I can't predict the future, but I would bet all my money that it's selling for less than what they're gonna sell for come spring, right? And there's a lot of factors that come into play with the economy and unemployment, and all these types of things are serious concerns. We are seeing unemployment on the rise for sure. But when we look at typical trends and what we're seeing, along with the affordability of the interest rates and what they've done to the last couple of years to incentivize and give people relief on their mortgages, um, I expect that we are going to see the market come back in the spring. So if you were looking to buy, for sure, I would take a look right now. December, January, even February. That is where you're ultimately going to get the best deal. Now, this is all relative too, because not everyone is looking for the best deal, meaning the cheapest price on a home. When we're talking about homes that are not so unique, right? There are many homes like them. That is ultimately the best time to do shopping. But if you're looking for a unique home, like if you already like your home and you are only going to make the next move, if you're looking for something very specific, well, that does become a lot harder to find this time of year because there's so fewer homes that are listing for sale. And the best ones, they do go quick, so they've probably already sold. So if you're looking for something specific, if you're very particular, if you really want something special in your home, then for sure you keep it out now. But most likely, you're going to be looking at buying in the spring, in the summer, when there's a lot more options, right? And that's really what matters too, is because how long are you going to hold this home for, right? We can take a look at how the average price changes month by month and all that type of stuff. But if you're looking for something specific in your home that you plan to hold this home for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, well, it doesn't really matter if you're paying a little bit higher price in April than you would be in January if you find that right home for you. So that's all about what specifically are you looking for as a buyer? Are you looking for just really the best deal that you can get that maybe you can flip in a couple of years when you grow out of that home? Well, then now is a great time. But if you're looking for something specific, then keep your eyes open, but really expect that you're going to see a lot more options, a lot more inventory come in the spring. Now, on the flip side, looking at sellers. Yes, right now you do not have tons of buyers competing for your property, but there is some serious pluses to looking at listing in the wintertime, right? The first one being the low inventory, right? As we see a lot more homes expire and cancel, there's a lot less competition out there. And we're also seeing that there is always going to be people that need to make a move now, right? Like if you just got transferred to Ottawa for your job and you need to find a home right now, like you are going to buy. And if you do not have tons of other options, then you are going to pay what a seller is asking if you need that house right now. So there's definitely, we're seeing, I saw just this week the highest sale of a certain type of townhome in Orleans that basically it paralleled the price that the last one was in March of 2022. So in this market, a home sold for the same price that it sold for here, and everything in between had sold for way less. And that was because it was a unique home. And I'm sure that the person who bought that home, saw that opportunity, saw that there was something that they really loved about it, and they were willing to pay what it took because there was nothing else on the market that suited their needs. So there is that option too right now for sellers. So especially if you have a unique home, then you would want to look at listing potentially, in December, January. Another thing is that over the holidays, Google searches for homes goes up about 25 to 30%. That is because people are off work, people are making their New Year's resolutions, they're with family, they're thinking about where they want to be, what their goals are for the next year, and so then they actually have the time to look at homes. So last year, we had a few listings that we were sitting on and that we were debating canceling for the holidays, thinking that homes don't sell. We sold 6 homes between Christmas and New Year's last year, just from being on the market and getting eyes on them, where there wasn't other options for buyers, and they had a reason that they wanted to move, and we got it done. So it was very eye opening for me. I before last year, I used to take down most of my listings, and if they had not sold, then plan to refresh in the spring. But there's a lot of opportunity to get eyes when there is not competition, right? It all depends about your specific type of property in your area, right? Like if you have a certain type of property right now and you look at your street and there's 3 homes for sale on your street, well, then no, I would not recommend that you list now, right? But if you're looking and then you see that all the homes like yours in the area have either sold or canceled, you might have a good opportunity right now to stand out from the crowd. But if you are looking at, an area where you are saturated and you don't need to sell right now, then it would make sense more to just prepare your house solely, see what you can do over the next couple of months that's going to increase the value for when the peak market comes in the spring. And I'm always going to recommend that you list on the early side of spring as opposed to the later, right? Because if you look at the average price here, we saw it peak in June this year. We saw it peak in April the year before. April the year before March, this was an outlier because 2022 interest rates started rising here, and then June here. And so where the average price peaks later, it's also because that's when the most sales are happening, but it's also when the most competition is happening. And so if you're able to hit the market a little bit early, often you'll see some great sales happen because you're beating out the competition. Ultimately, like if you're looking at your area in March and seeing not much available, I would recommend listing, because if you wait till April or May, and by the time then everyone in your neighborhood who's looking to sell this year is listed at the same time, you're going to have issues, right? And if we take a look too, the average days on market currently, at 44 days. If you wait till May, June to list, then all of a sudden you're selling in July, August, and we know that that's a significant drop from earlier in the spring, right? Well, I think that about covers it for me today. I hope you guys found this video helpful, but please, if there's anything that you want to know about in the Ottawa real estate market, a certain area specifically, a certain type of home, please put it in the comments, and I'll be happy to review in the following video. Thanks for watching. Happy holidays, everyone. Happy New Year, and I will see you in 2026.